I just pre-ordered the Nikon ZR, but here's the catch. I won't actually be using the max settings most of the time. My main workhorse is a Z6 Mark III, and for this is one of the main reasons because I've been having lots of issues or lots of concerns, some of which from clients, some of which from my own projects, where I want to obviously be able to match the colours perfectly, and the new cinema camera from Nikon has the identical stacked sensor that the Nikon Z6 Mark III has. So from an A and a B camera point of view, they are going to be perfectly matched. Obviously, the new cinema camera will be released and will get into customers' hands in probably about a month by the sound of it, and it is a more video-centric camera, but it will take, by the sound of it, quite a lot of the features from the Z6 Mark III, such as incredible autofocus, but obviously the jump into red codecs that are very memory intensive, and in specific use cases, promotional videos, like documentary or like high image quality, where the highest possible image quality is what is required, in comparison to say a podcast filming, where the cinema camera itself will allow you to film up to 2 hours and 15 minutes in most of the codecs that I use. Personally, at the moment, I film on H.265 5.3K at 10-bit, which gives me more than enough latitude, beautiful colors, and of course autofocus and all the other jazz as well. So when it comes to podcasts, it's another step for me to get a little bit closer to having a podcasting or perfect podcasting camera setup, and also when it comes to doing corporate interviews, of course, as well, I'll be having two really strong cameras. There is a couple of holes missing in that kit, of course. I do also want a 24 to 70 f2.8, 70 to 200 f2.8, and along with potentially the 28 to 105 or so, but they're just some like couple of things, and it's, I think for me, when you look at gear, you've got to find the right choice. And I think if you're not a gearhead and it's someone who potentially looks at this video or comes to this video and says, well, you know, I'm not someone who necessarily cares about having the latest and greatest, I think you need to ask yourself, well, what do you want for a camera, and what camera specs and what features from a camera do you specifically need? For me, this is the perfect matching camera for the kit I already own and my upgrade paths when it comes to lenses, and my plans for the what's missing in marketing today lives, but also what's missing in marketing as a podcast as a whole. It will allow me to basically do a full-on 2-hour podcast, up to 2-hour podcast, basically anywhere, with the 32-bit float recording in the new camera, so I can run that into the main camera, but then also of course using the Z6 Mark III and then my already established GH5 for a wider angle, where I'm not too worried about having that full frame detail necessarily. I can just lean into that older but still really strong power horse of a camera, and it's also kit I already own, so it isn't going to cost me anything extra to create that content. It gives me the option, it gives me the upgrade path, right, to shoot with Red RAW, shoot into the Red ecosystem, and it should actually give me that bridge between getting Nikon glass, getting powerful mirrorless cameras like the Z6 Mark III to be able to create strong content, but in the event where I do go to a Raptor or something larger from the Red ecosystem, I will of course be able to use the smaller cinema camera Nikon ZR, of course, as a matching video camera for a larger red package, but also a crash cam, etc. So from a future-proofing point of view, but also of course for just solo filming or images where I want to make it either A, perfectly matched, or B, push the quality as far as I can with the camera kit I have, then of course it will open up that opportunity at a lower price point, because it is around £2,100, which, to be honest, is around what the Z6 Mark III was and is now as well when you buy it brand new. So I guess the question is, do you want a video camera or do you want a stills and hybrid camera? Because there's a couple of trade-offs, and obviously the 32-bit float and etc. that you won't get when it comes to if you just get get the Z6 Mark III. But for me, as someone who's sometimes brought in to do photography, and will do that for fun, but then also is a media professional but also to have powerful power horse cameras that I use every day to allow me to create better content for clients, higher quality content for clients, and especially as I move into the space where I'm going to potentially be creating more and more podcasts for clients, etc., and more content and more consistent content, to able to, and there's a little things in the new camera as well, like being able to output stuff directly to socials and etc. as well. Now, of course, when I have the physical camera, I'll be able to talk a lot more about the ergonomics, and allegedly the screen's really good. And as I say, the only caveats I've managed to research before filming this video, the couple of the caveats are the micro USB, a micro HDMI, excuse me, is kind of like, why is it micro, right? Because the Nikon Z6 Mark III and all of the other main mirrorless bodies from Nikon, they all have full-size HDMI, and they are potentially like less reliable than something which you could use on, say, like a full-size HDMI. The other one is like the ergonomics. But just to finish on the HDMI, I think for me, from what I can gather from the conversations I've had, or the with other filmmakers, but also the content I've consumed, for me it does look and feel like Nikon or Red, depending how you look at it, are kind of expecting you to use the inbuilt monitor and not really look to externally push it to another monitor necessarily, and that's not really how they've designed it. Ideally, they are kind of designing it as an entry-level cinema camera to allow you to use that larger 4-inch display as a whole. And of course, we have those multiple tutor codecs depending on what we're doing that I've already discussed. And of course, one of the main goals for this year and the coming year in 2026 will be, of course, to build out the YouTube channel as well, to share more with you guys, share more BTS, and in theory, I have quite some significant size projects coming towards the end of the year that I'll be able to share with you as a whole as well. Some of which I will hopefully be able to film on the Nikon ZR, needs a better name, terrible to say. But when building a YouTube channel, and part of the reason why I'm creating this video also as like a documentation on like what I think and what my thought process has been to purchase the camera as well, has been to continue to have content that's going to be heavily search driven and be able to captivate and be able to hopefully educate and add value to people who are either coming over from Sony or Canon, because there is a lot of conversation about, are people going to actually switch from Sony or Canon? But it will be this kind of pendulum swing, I guess, in some ways, because one camera manufacturer will release a camera that allegedly is crazy and amazing, and then you'll have another manufacturer who will then up what they're doing and rinse and repeat. We've also, we've kind of seen this to an extent with the new Canon line, and Sony hasn't really answered it yet, but I expect they will within the next couple of months as well. So for me, I think when you look at a new camera, you have to look at holes in your production and holes at what you're looking to do, and if your tools, your camera, your lenses, etc., don't specifically do the job that you need them to do, or you feel they could do the job better, and you could make those micro improvements because you have the pipeline, because you have the bandwidth, because you are looking to continue to add value to your clients to create the best images, sounding, and also maybe have redundancy, or like create the most cinematic looking video, etc., if that matters to your clients, etc. Even if you are creating stuff on social, I think there's this constant yardstick of you should constantly trying to be able to aim for those 1%. But I hope you enjoyed this video. That's kind of my thought process and the kind of thoughts around why I'll be specifically using the new, when the camera comes, I'll be using the Nikon ZR specifically. And I think for me, as the final takeaway, I think you don't need to necessarily, because there's a lot of, I've had some comments about like the Red Codecs being really, really data intensive. Just because you have the ability and you can scale up to those doesn't necessarily mean that you need to use those at all times. I can shoot at 12-bit up to 6K on here, but I don't necessarily need to do that. So it's also about working out what's your workflow and how do you best efficientize that workflow, and the camera you're buying, does it up your quality or make your workflow faster, more efficient, etc., and or allow you to create more content that could then in turn allow you to be more high value to the marketplace, which in turn will allow you to eventually invoice for more in that respect as well. And so if you did enjoy this video and you enjoyed this kind of raw my thoughts, I wanted to just sort of share my thought process when it comes to why I actually pre-ordered as a whole, and there'll be a lot more videos coming when the customer devices are actually sent out. I'll do unboxings, first thoughts, 24 hours, project breakdowns, etc. So be subscribed so you don't miss that. And YouTube thinks you'll really enjoy this video, and I'll see you very, very soon for a brand new podcast, awesome new content. Take care.